Hi, this is Mr. Kays, and this is 3.4. We're looking at the origins of the Jewish people, the origins of their religion, Judaism, and the search for a promised land. Now, the region we're looking at is in Southwest Asia, along the Mediterranean. It's called the land of Palestine. It was the ancient region that we see the Phoenicians inhabiting. Canaan was the ancient home of the Hebrews. It's the same land. Same land. And the Jews were first called Hebrews around Abraham's time. Jewish traditions are shared by Christians and Muslims. They all believe in Father Abraham. They all regard Jesus as a great man, a good teacher. One would even say he is God in the flesh. That's the Christians. Canaan was the promised land of the Jews. Now, they're holy scriptures. The first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, that's collectively called the Torah, and it's studied by scholars. Tradition says that Moses wrote the Torah. Now, our key figure here for Judaism is Abraham. He was an ancient Iraqi, was chosen by God to be the father of the Hebrew people. Why? Because he worshiped the one true God. He did not worship many gods, but one God. And he leaves a city in Sumer called Ur, that was his hometown, to move to the land of Canaan about 4,000 years ago. His descendants eventually move to Egypt about 3,600 years ago. Now, the Hebrews are not polytheistic, they're monotheistic. They believe in one single God, and his name is Yahweh. Y-A-H-W-E-H. His name was so holy they did not whisper it, but they did not say it, but they whispered it one day a year, the Day of Atonement. They believed he was the one and only God. He was powerful in their region, he's powerful out of the region, he's powerful all over. As where many people believed that their gods were only powerful in their own home regions, the Hebrews believed that he was the universal God. And as such, they were told not to make any wooden or stone statues of Yahweh, because the temptation was to worship the idol and not worship God. God cut covenant with Abraham. What's a covenant? Well, it's a mutual promise between God and, in this case, Abraham. Covenant is an agreement, and it was this. You obey me, Abram, and I'm going to bless your socks off. I will protect you. I will protect your family. That's what the covenant was. And it was a covenant that applied to his son and his son. Hebrews are down in Egypt. They went down there to buy grain. They liked it. They stayed down there. God did not tell them to stay down there. They just liked it there, and 450 years later, they're crying out to God for help. He sends them Moses, who was a Hebrew born in Egypt. He's to go and tell the Pharaoh, let my people go. Well, can you imagine how that worked? 7 times he goes there and was turned down. But each time God sent a plague on Egypt. It did not hit the Hebrews, but it hit the Egyptians. The rivers turned to blood, locusts, frogs, lice, boils. These were some of the plagues. The last plague to hit was the death angel passing over, and anyone that did not have the blood of the lambs put on the doorposts and lintels, the firstborn in each family was taken by the death angel. So finally, they were let go. Pharaoh said go. And they go across the Sinai Peninsula. The Red Sea is parted miraculously for them to go over on dry land, and the Egyptian chariots follow, and they are swallowed up by the water. Moses at this time now receives 10 commandments from Yahweh on Mount Sinai. And in doing so, now they have an ethical way to live. As the people get near to Canaan, they go and they find, as they spy out the land, that the people are giants, they would say. And they do not obey God in going in. So God punished them for 40 years. They would wander in the desert until the everlast whiner and complainer died. It's their children that would go in. The only two men to give a good report were Caleb and Joshua, and they were very old when they went in, but they were able to see and possess the land. They finally crossed the River Jordan, take Canaan. The first city to fall was Jericho, and after that they were able to take the rest of the land in warfare with their neighbors. Eventually, they settle down. They're ruled by judges, but they cry out they want their own king. So these judges rule over Israel. It's a time when the Philistines are bothering them because they did not take out the Philistines when God told them. The Philistines were a thorn in their side. They emphasize ethical monotheism. Monotheism is the belief in one God. After a while, they cry out for a king, and God gives them Saul. Saul almost immediately disobeys God, and he is slowly turned crazy because he does not continue to follow God. His son-in-law, David, the shepherd boy who kills Goliath, he takes over, and the kingdom lasts for about 100 years. David establishes a strong Israel, defeats the Philistines, and establishes Jerusalem as the capital city. When David dies, his son Solomon takes over. He is the one that God allows to build the temple to house the Ark of the Covenant in Jerusalem. It's a permanent structure, and in doing so now, Israel reaches its golden age. But Solomon, after he dies, the kingdom splits up into two parts. The northern part, Israel, the southern part is Judah, and eventually they fight each other, and they fall into disrepair because they don't follow after God, and God judges them by sending invading armies to carry them away. The Assyrians carry away Israel for good. They never come back. But the southern kingdom, Judah, they're carried away to Babylon, and eventually, after 70 years of paying tribute, which is peace money, they are eventually allowed to go back to Israel. King Nebuchadnezzar defeats Judah, takes them away for 70 years, as they said. Then, as the Babylonians are kicked out, or taken over by the Persians, King Cyrus, who cuts people some slack, allows for the Jews to go back and rebuild their temple. The walls of Jerusalem are later built to defend the people living in the city of Jerusalem and the temple. But that's a thumbnail sketch of the history of Judaism. This is Mr. K's, and I'll see you down the way. Bye-bye.